Morning. 23rd of January 2026. A markedly different day to 23rd of January 2025. A day which was spent mostly in bed until Vic come home from work, at which point things got a bit different for me. Vicky come home, basically I had to check on my boil and weren't happy with it. Basically, in her words, it's not right, this, you need to have this looked at, we need to go to A&E. Me being me, I'm like, no, we'll go tomorrow. I'll go in morning, I'm knackered. I can't be bothered tonight, we'll go in morning. Thankfully she persuaded me otherwise. And we went on the Thursday night. Now, truth be told, I'm not over-egging it, and I'm never going to over-egg anything that I tell you about what happened. But truth be told, if I hadn't have gone in on the Thursday, if I hadn't have listened to Vic, done the proper husbandly thing and listened to the wife, if I hadn't have done that, according to the experts at the hospital, I wouldn't have been in here Friday morning. That's the nitty-gritty of it. Went to hospital, she dropped me off at outside A&E, so she could go and park up, because walking from our front door to the car, which is about 50 yards, I were out of breath, I were aching, I weren't good at all. Got to the hospital, by the time I got into reception of A&E, out of breath, really struggling. Took all my details, told me to go and sit down. Vicky had parked card and come round. About 45 minutes later they called me in. Went into sort of like a triage, I think they call it. And they had a look. They asked Vicky what she thought it was. She said she thought it might be sepsis. They said, yeah, we think you might be right. They took me from there round into a results booth, where things for me start to get very sketchy. I remember wheeling me around, because when they wheeled me around, the booth that put me in was directly in opposite the one that my mum had been in prior to going to a private room where she passed. So that were a bit tricky. But went into the triage, went into the resource booth. I remember that. I remember a lot of people starting to fuss about. I remember saying to Vicky, take me watch, my bracelet and my ring, because if for any reason I don't want A to lose and B to have things cut off me. The next thing I remember is them saying, do you mind if we cut your t-shirt off, Simon? Which I'm like, yeah, no, do whatever you need to do. I didn't realise, and I've genuinely no memory, but by this point I'd already got all sorts of cables and pipes and tubes coming in and out of me. Yeah, and that was it. That's the last thing I remember on the 23rd of January 2025. The next thing I remember is waking up, or Vicky leaning over me and saying, Happy Valentine's Day, love. Because it was 14th of February. I'd been asleep in an induced coma for 22 days. I had a pipe. You can probably see, I don't know if you can see a little scar there. I had a pipe coming out of my throat because they'd done me a tracheotomy. Basically because I had a tendency to, even while I was asleep, on my own pipe that they put into my mouth. I've been hooked up to a filtration machine. They've been pumping me through with all sorts. Earlier days, they've been pumping me through with all sorts of antibiotics. On the 23rd, when I went in, they took my blood sugar levels and my keto levels. My blood sugars were that high that they won't register on the machine. And the keto were at 7, which it should be 0. Yeah, I wasn't attacking. They were putting antibiotics into me and literally squeezing and forcing antibiotics into me. Yeah, they're pumping all sorts into me. I've got 6 lines apparently going into me at one point, which ain't good. And yeah, it basically turns out that what I had was this, which is necrotizing fasciitis, a flesh-eating bug. It's like sepsis, but a lot worse. So over the first few days, I went into theatre 9 times. 3 of those times were for bloods, trying to get blood into me, because as much as whatever they were putting in, the equal amount coming out, I was losing blood that much. They had to cut away where the virus was, the bug was. By all accounts, again, everything the first 3 weeks I know nothing about. Vicky could tell you more about that. She's upstairs getting ready to take dogs for a walk. But excuse me. They had to, I've down numerous times to have a bit more flesh taken away, Yeah, and I nearly lost them 3 times. I had a dark patch on my right arm, which they didn't know if it was the neck fascia or what it was. I woke up with pen marks, basically. Anywhere where they thought there might have been another bit of this, they'd drawn around it so they could see if it grew or not. And they'd up with another one in my groin. So basically, we're all in my abdomen, and it stretched sort of like from my hip all the way across. At the worst, or the biggest part, or biggest stage of my wound, it was 30 centimetres, 33, 36 centimetres across, or long, 22 centimetres wide, and they'd gone that deep at one point that they exposed my bowel. So I know if you're squeamish, I'm sorry, but you've got to know these things. Yeah, I wouldn't attack him. When I woke up, as I say, I went into bed, got my tracheotomy, still got all sorts of lines coming out of me. They put a thing in my arm, or tried putting it in this arm and ended up putting it in this arm, that put this feed up and monitor my blood pressure and everything. Yeah, and I were in a bed that did bits. Got an air mattress and, I was, one stage I was that bloated with edema that it took 3 people just to turn me and roll me over. Well, yeah, I came through it. Recovery took a long time. They were packing it with this thing called a vacuum assisted care machine. And here's the thing, Barnsley Hospital had it for 2 years and never used it, and it was only one of the tissue viability nurses saying, oh, instead of being dressed and redressed and one thing and another, and why don't we use that? And basically what it does is it vacuum seals your wound, and the big ones, like they never used at Barnsley, pumps water in, but pack it full of material, pumps water in, soaks, and then sucks it back out again. And it does that every so often, every couple of hours it'll pump about 150 millilitres of water, not a lot, but pump it in, soak it, suck it out. And I were on that for so long until it got to the stage where they didn't need the water going in, and they put me on a small one. Once I put me on a small one, I was portable and I could move around one thing or another, but until then I got this bloody great massive machine thing on the stand at the side of my bed. They did take me out into the garden at one point, an ICU, which was 4 or 5 man job to get me out of the bed into a chair, which big massive comfy chair with wheels on, and wheel me out and round, but with people pulling and carrying, sort of like my vac machine, my blood pressure monitor thing, and yeah. But yeah, I was in ICU for a good few weeks. Obviously the 3 weeks that I were in an induced coma, and then for a good couple of weeks after. Then I went up onto ward 36, then I got a bit of sickness and diarrhoea, which I initially thought, well, virus, the bacteria coming back, but it weren't. So they moved me off 36 into 35 into a private room, which were nice. And then eventually I went downstairs onto Acorn ward, which was recovery ward, rehabilitation, rehab ward, which again, nice, but they put me in a 6-bedroom to start with. I'll be honest, it was like being in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I was the youngest, bearing in mind I was 55 at the time. In fact, when I was 54, I turned 55 in May after I come out of hospital. I was 54 and I was by far the youngest person on Acorn, but yeah. So yeah, necrotizing fasciitis. I wouldn't advise looking it up. Have a look on NHS app and see what it is if you want, but I won't advise looking at pictures because now I've not seen the extent of my wound at the worst. They were taking photos from day one, the medical photography team, working alongside tissue viability. Because it was the first time that they used this machine, then they wanted to document it. Now apparently the tissue viability are writing a paper on it. The woman that represented the company that makes the vax, she was writing a paper on it. I signed all sorts of waivers that they can use these photos and everything for future people to learn. And I mean, you know, it's NHS, man, you got to give back, haven't you? But yeah, we're supposed to, me and Vicky at some point are supposed to be having a video chat with the team at the hospital, which is going to be used as part of this, but we've not heard anything back from them for a while. If it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. It's not something I'm going to always sleep over. Nah, as part of all the treatment for this, I had a couple of scans, one of which showed up that I got a tumour on my kidney. So that was another thing. August that came out, took the kidney out in August and not had any problems before or since that. And to be quite honest, it's a silver lining that I was in hospital and I had that scan, because if I had to done, I want to know, because the people at Sheffield who did all the kidney business basically said by the size of it, I probably had it about 7 years. So I've been walking around with a tumour on my kidney, not knowing about it for 7 years. Because of where it were on my kidney, I weren't showing any symptoms. Yeah, they tried doing a skin graft on my wound when it got smaller to make it heal quicker. That didn't work. But I must say, the most amount of pain I've had little to no pain, despite the size of the vast Grand Canyon of a wound that I had little to no pain with that. The bit of pain after they take the kidney out, that hurt, but only for about a week and a bit. The biggest amount of pain I had was the donor site from a skin graft. Oh my word above, I've never known pain like it. Oh, I'm gonna get too graphic, but they can't take the dressing off for 2 weeks, and the tendency is for the dressing to stick. The minute she took it off, which again, that really hurt like buggery. The minute she took it off, it stopped hurting. So it's a really bizarre set of circumstances that not felt much pain through any of it. I missed all the nastiness while I was asleep. What can I tell you? But I'm here. And this, like I said, today marks the first year, the first anniversary of what my sister's called my second birthday, which is an irony. I despise royal family, and my mum will be watching now and laughing that I've got 2 birthdays like king. But there we go. That is briefly. I said briefly, we're on 17 and a half minutes. That's briefly what occurred on January 23rd last year. As I say, I call it the silliness because I can't think of anything else that really describes it. I have had side effects, like I've already told you. I've got next to no feeling from my knee down in my left leg, my left foot and toes, no feeling. My foot's dropped because I've got no movement in my ankle, my toes, I've no muscle there, so my foot is dropping, so I've got to wear a sort of like an L-shaped brace to keep my foot from dragging. My toes on my right foot are like not completely bereft of feeling, but I struggle with them. My fingers. Yesterday, I said I was going to do that Lego. I ain't even started it because my fingers. The only way I can sometimes describe it is like wearing latex gloves. That's what it feels like. Or they're covered in talcum powder. They're bizarre. Like I say, I had that. That was the weirdest thing. My tracheotomy. I'll tell you more about that. I couldn't speak when I got that in. I couldn't drink. I couldn't eat. Again, I will tell you more about that another time. But yeah, necrotizing fasciitis. Don't recommend it. It's good as a weight loss program. I lost good stone and a couple of stone. I put a bit of it back on. I'm in the process of losing it again now. But yeah, I don't recommend it. But that's where we're at. And that's your video for today, which is coming up to 20 minutes. They're not going to be this long normal. So we're off to Brodie. We're going to go and get bearded dragon, some bugs see if I've got any hamsters and little cute pets, and see if I can persuade her to get a new one. She won't. I've tried time and time again and she won't. But there we go. So yeah, it's Friday. Oh, we're off out for tea tonight. We're out for mother-in-law's birthday. So there's that to look forward to. But miserable day again, raining again. But there we go. Keep saying there we go. I apologise. I will see you tomorrow. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Take care, fam.